The Emerald Tablet, Chapter 30. Benjamin Breaks His Leg. It was already Wednesday, and having Jack hold on to the keys of Shambhala had worked out well so far. It left Benjamin not having to worry about someone else finding them. Benjamin tried not to think too much about the location of the third key during the week. He figured he had enough to occupy his mind, what with tests every day and night. The problem was that on Sunday they would all be heading home, and wouldn't be back in Lemuria until the following summer. Benjamin had no idea if he'd be able to continue looking for the third key once he'd left the sunken continent. Benjamin and Jack found the telegnosis exam at the end of a long hallway. There wasn't much activity around, but then there never seemed to be on the telegnosis floors. Jack transferred the keys from Benjamin, and Benjamin was just about to walk into the open door when he caught someone out of the corner of his eye. It was a man with dark hair and a full beard, and Benjamin had never seen him before. The man looked directly at Benjamin and then walked around the corner. "Who was that?" Benjamin asked Jack. "I didn't see anyone," Jack said. "Do you want me to go look?" Benjamin didn't even need to think about it. "No, I want you to stay here and wait for me. Whoever it was is gone now." Jack studied the corner of the hallway, but nobody reappeared. "Okay, good luck on telegnosis. Do you know how you did on it?" "How would I know how I did on it?" Benjamin asked, still thinking about the man. "Well, I just figured if you knew how you did on your telegnosis test, then you would have done well. Right?" Jack said. Benjamin gave him a confused look, and Jack laughed. "You know, you'd be able to see into the future." "Come on," Jack said, snapping his small fingers into Benjamin's face. "Get with it. That was supposed to be a joke." The telegnosis exam passed, and the rest of the day progressed normally. Benjamin decided not to mention the man he'd seen in the hallway to his friends. He'd probably just been one of the graders, and he would be sure to think he was just being paranoid. Thursday morning, Benjamin woke up bright and too early for his science ability test. Iva had her telepathy test also in the morning, so she and Benjamin ate a quick breakfast. "I'm sure I'll do fine on my telepathy test," Iva said. "I mean, it's got to be similar to the telegnosis test, right?" "I don't even think my telegnosis exam was a test," Benjamin replied. "All my grader did was talk to me, and she was really young." "How old was she?" Iva asked, stopping mid-bite. "If I had to guess, I'd say 25, Benjamin said, but she acted older than that. The High Oracle looked young also, Iva said. "I think when women are really good at telegnosis, they stay young and live a really long time." "What about men?" Benjamin asked. "I don't think there've been enough men good at it to make a study," Iva replied. "Anyway, we better get going." Benjamin headed off to the second floor and Iva to the sixth. Jack joined Benjamin on the way up the stairs. "So what do you think I'll have to do?" Benjamin asked Jack. "Grow a new limb on a rat? Dissect a frog?" "Maybe you'll have to grow a third eyeball in the center of your forehead," Jack said. "They say the third eye can see everything." "Yeah, well, thank you very much, but I don't really want a third eye. Anyway, I didn't see Andy or Gary walking around with a new eyeball," Benjamin said. Jack transferred the keys, and Benjamin headed toward the room. "Hey, break a leg," Jack called out to Benjamin. Benjamin walked through the door and turned to close the door behind him. He turned back around and immediately fell into a large hole about 4 yards deep. The cry of pain he let out surprised even him. Amidst his anguish, Benjamin heard the slow footsteps of someone approaching the pit. An old woman looked down at him. "Oh, my! Are you hurt, Benjamin Holt?" she asked. Benjamin looked down at his right leg, which was twisted at an odd angle. By now the pain had become so intense it was all Benjamin could think about. He didn't even care how he did on his science ability test at this point. He just needed some medical attention. I think I broke my leg," Benjamin managed to get out between grunts. There were small tears in the corners of his eyes, but he did his best not to cry. Benjamin had never before broken a bone in his body, and it really hurt. "Oh, wonderful," the grader said. "A broken leg. Excellent." "Wonderful? Excellent?" Benjamin nearly screamed back at her. "Oh, yes," the grader replied. "The last student I tested only broke her arm." "Oh, is that all?" Benjamin growled in reply. "Unfortunately, yes, that is all." The grader turned and began to walk away back to the front of the room. "Where are you going?" Benjamin said between gritted teeth. "Why, back to the front desk, of course," the grader replied. "But what about me?" Benjamin asked, a hint of desperation creeping into his voice. "Oh, yes. Please heal your injuries and you will be free to go," she said. She sat down, picked up a partially completed sweater and some knitting needles, and began to knit. Benjamin stared at her, unable to believe what he was seeing. Was she serious? Heal his injuries? Heal a broken leg, the tibia bone, and possibly the fibula too? But though it took him the better part of the 2 hours, Benjamin proudly but angrily succeeded in doing just that. After his science ability test, the written lectures exam felt like a piece of cake. Benjamin walked out of the 6th floor classroom with Heidi, Iva, Andy, and Gary. Did you get the question about what solar system produced the famous meteorite that landed in Tibet? Gary asked. Yeah, we all better have gotten that one, Andy said. I like the question about what was the perfect genetically engineered species, Heidi said. They joined Jack on the bench outside the classroom. They really asked that? Jack asked. Did you get it right? I didn't have either of those questions on my exam, Iva said. There must have been different tests given out, Andy said. Well, why did I have to get a harder one? Iva asked. I had to draw out the orbits of all the planets. What's so hard about that? Gary asked. That was on my test, too. Iva rolled her eyes in reply. So tomorrow's the last day of ability tests, Heidi said. I only have science left, and I mean, how hard could that be? Benjamin's legs started hurting when she'd said it, but he decided to keep his mouth shut. I have science also, Iva said, in the morning, so I'll be done by lunch. As it turned out, everyone except Benjamin had morning exams on Friday. We could go visit Morpheus Midas in the afternoon, Heidi suggested. Benjamin glared at her. Well, why should we sit around doing nothing just because you have telekinesis in the afternoon? She asked. Because you should feel sorry for me, that's why, Benjamin said. We can all have dinner together, Iva suggested. We should be back by 6 o'clock. What time do you get out of your test? Benjamin snarled. Not until 5, he said. Yeah, and telekinesis lasts the whole time, Andy said. Don't expect to get out early. You're not making me feel any better, Benjamin said. Well, at least you get to sleep in, Heidi said. I mean, my science test starts at 9 o'clock. Yeah, well, break a leg, Benjamin replied. Benjamin and Jack found room 55 on the 3rd floor. Just as Benjamin felt the weight of the keys leave his pocket, Ryan Jordan rounded the corner. He stopped when he saw Benjamin and the small Nautical sitting on the bench in the hallway. Hi, Ryan sneered at more than said it. Hi, Benjamin replied back. Did you bring your pet along to help you cheat? Ryan asked, nodding his head toward Jack. Unlike some people, I don't need to cheat, Benjamin replied. Have you stolen any more pizza from Julie McFarlane lately? He asked. I know you did that, Ryan replied. You think that just because you can teleport a marble it makes you special. Benjamin remembered what Heidi had said about Ryan still liking Iva. Iva seems to think it makes me special, he said. Ryan frowned in reply. I have no idea why she hangs out with you and your dorky friends. I've never seen such a pack of losers. If we're such losers, then why are you always losing to me and Andy in Kinesis combat? Benjamin asked. I could take on you and your buddy Andy together, Ryan bragged. You could take us on, but there's no way you could win, Benjamin said. That's because you always have the Nautical helping you cheat, Ryan said. He turned to room 54 and walked in. The door slammed behind him. He's still mad about Iva, Benjamin said. Yeah, but he also knows something else is going on, Jack said. You think so? Benjamin asked. Absolutely, Jack replied. He and Jonathan always listen in on our conversations, Benjamin said, or at least they try. Just watch what you think, Jack said. Benjamin shook his head, trying to clear it of any thoughts of Ryan Jordan, Iva Marinina, or the Alliance. So you'll be waiting for me after the exam, right? Of course. Haven't I waited during every exam? Jack asked. Yeah, you have. I guess I'm just starting to get uneasy, Benjamin said. I mean, Iva has me all paranoid about making sure we find the last keys soon. Good. One of you guys should be paranoid, Jack said. I'll keep my ears and eyes open. Benjamin got up from the bench and headed for room 55. He walked in and, as with Ryan, the door slammed behind him. The 2 hours were excruciatingly hard work. Every object in the room came flying randomly at Benjamin just when he would let his guard down. He had bruises on his arms and legs, and his hand was cut where some scissors had hit him. Scissors and telekinesis? What was this grader thinking? Every 5 minutes the grader challenged Benjamin to a telekinetic duel. Benjamin knew the grader wasn't using his entire strength each time. However, each duel became harder. Benjamin wasn't sure if this was a result of his mind being more sluggish with each challenge or a result of the grader increasing the strength he used each time. Whatever it was, by the time the grader announced the exam over and disappeared, Benjamin hardly even cared. He remained sitting for nearly 5 minutes, trying to regain some of his mental strength. He was beat. Yet as he sat there, he smiled. 2 hours of telekinesis was nothing to scoff at. What would Derek and Douglas think? Actually, how would they have done? Benjamin thought that the 2 of them together could easily have done as well as Benjamin himself. Thinking of the twin boys made Benjamin realize how much he missed his family. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small car toy they'd given him. In just a couple days he'd be able to return it to his brothers. Since the fountain experience in Xanadu, he'd thought of his siblings constantly. He looked forward to returning to Virginia to the comforts of his own home. He would miss Lemuria and his new friends terribly, but he would see them all again next summer. He put the police car back into his pocket. Slowly Benjamin got up and headed toward the door. Well, that was it. No more exams for this year. He opened the door, looked out at the bench, and stopped in his tracks. Jack was nowhere to be found.